So today I just wanted to cover 3 insights that I've been thinking about recently around how we influence specifiers remotely. All of us have considerably less access into practice, particularly large practices. So I'm just wanting to share some insights that I've got from discussions with a lot of you and also research that I have been doing on my own. Now, love to get your comments and feedbacks on chat, so just keep them coming, and happy to pause at any point. So I just wanted to give you my reference. So I think of a specification continuum. Starts with introduction, so growing awareness, creating confidence, so social proof, documentation, creating that foundation that we then hope will build into trust. And at that point, there is then a form of partnership, hopefully in the form of project work. So for me, we're building everything we should be doing builds up to a point of discussing a project. Used to love those phone calls. Hey, can you come in to talk about a project? Or can you give me a call? I've got a project I'd like to discuss. So I'm thinking about what are the activities that we can do that can take us to that moment. And then with project discussions, as many of you have heard me talk about, 50% of the project discussions we have should lead to a project specification that we're involved in. Obviously, from a project specification, we're then looking for the conversion into sale. But for me, again, if we do a good job in getting to project discussions, project specification should follow. So the area of focus for me is really around what are we doing in that introduction and confidence building phase that gets us to a point where we're trusted to be included in a future project. Okay, so the 3 insights I want to go through today. One of them, architectural grads don't call, they don't use the phone, they Google. I want to think about how we can develop the way we deliver technical information to build that credibility and trust. Start thinking about shorter form content delivery, i.e. TED Talks. Not sure if any of you have had dating experience recently. I personally haven't, but from what I hear and what I can remember, the second date is often the most difficult to get. So it's one thing about actually getting an opportunity to talk to specifiers, but it's about how we can actually proactively develop the opportunity for a second discussion to further grow that relationship. Cool. So first, let's insight number 1. So I've been thinking about the journey that architectural graduates take when they're researching. And I want to firstly talk about your websites and the action that we should be hoping that is created from a graduate visiting your website. So just imagine if they came there, they had this feeling, this overwhelming confidence that you as a supplier, you've got this. So whatever the question was, you've got it covered. Now, can anyone remember who this guy is and where I've taken the shot from? There's no prizes for this. I'm just interested to see who the big film buffs are. Thanks, Damien. Of course it is. Yes, it's The Wolf, and the movie is Vincent D. Wolf. Like it, Ross? Excellent. It details everything. Of course, it's from Pulp Fiction. Okay, so when you've got a problem, you call the wolf. He fixes it. Now, we're not talking about removing dead bodies, but we're wanting to give people understanding that when they've got an issue, they're obviously going to a website for some, they've got a query around something. When they land there, and they've actually having a look at your content, they've got an overwhelming feeling, hey, these guys know what they're talking about and they can help and assist. So I just want to talk about a really common occurrence. So I've gone to Australia to get an example here. Now, here's a roofing company. It's their website. This is their homepage. So I'm a graduate and I come here, and strangely, they've actually got their menu down the bottom. Typically, it's up the top, or there's a burger menu up the top left or right-hand corner. But in here, I'm wanting to get, I've got some questions, or I'm thinking about where I can grab some further information If I've gone through and can't find it, I assume I'd go through the documents and resources. So we've got this one size fits all contents button. And so here is the experience that I get. So, and this is typical. I've got a form and something around, in this case, speak to our friendly staff. I can call this number, or for some reason I can call Richard. So I've got the option of calling to speak to someone who I don't know their name, or I can email someone, call Richard. So I'm just thinking about this whole experience and what we could do to actually help facilitate some greater confidence and trust and volition to actually get in contact. Because for a graduate here, they're doing this cold to put in their name and detail, particularly project details. In most cases, they won't be doing that. So what if on that page, we could instigate some of the following? We could personalize the fact that there's support available for specifiers. In this case, Richard's gone halfway there. He's actually put his name in. But, if we actually had his name and his details, probably his mobile number. What about if we put in a technical bio? What if Richard could reference the fact that he's been working with architects for the last 5 years, 10 years, that he's got a background in technical sales or engineering? What about if we could promote the support that Richard can offer? Can he get back to you has he got a same day or next day offer? What we know about architects is predominantly they are working in a project section by section. So they're looking at window detailing or roofing or insulation. Now is important, not next week, not in 2 days' time. So the fact we can give them some surety that we can get back to them promptly, wouldn't that be great to actually have that service proposition up front? And what about the fact we could actually we could tell the graduate what Richard can actually do? Can he offer BIM detailing? Can he provide producer statements? Can he provide scheduling or design detailing or peer reviews? So here I'd just like you to think about how we can actually provide just a better bio around our level of support to help build that level of confidence. If anyone's got any examples where I think someone's done a great job with doing this, let us know on the chat line, because I'd love to be able to reference that. Okay, moving on. Still thinking about your website. Long form content is so rich in terms of search engine optimization. So the ability to be able to develop technical articles, I've said here, based on any frequently asked technical questions that you or any of your other reps or technical managers get, it's a really rich way of getting people to your website. Now, I'm starting to see a lot more use of LinkedIn, but it'd be great to see longer form articles being positioned on your website and any other channels you use like EBOSS. And, again, here we're trying to develop more digital channels to direct people back to you. And what I'd like to think about in these articles is try and position the product and the consultant, i.e. you, as the heroes. So it's all about how do we actually, what are the key issues to consider, and what are the steps that can actually help mitigate or drive success of a project. So if for those of you who are finding that you've got more time because you're doing less travel and less in-practice work, think about developing some stories for articles. And if you've got anything that you'd like to get some feedback on, just I'm happy for you to shoot me an email. If you've got some suggestions, happy to give you some feedback on that. Also thinking about longer form content, just how we can grab great projects and use it to profile how we helped deliver a project and reinforce our service proposition. Now, a tip here, most people actually contact the architect or the contractor right at the end of the project to see if they can profile their involvement. Much more proactive way is when you're looking, going through the tendering process and often sharpening your price or having to give a few sweeteners. Something you can ask for is the ability to profile the project, and doing it at that point rather than doing it right at the end where time's an issue. It potentially could be quite a bit of tension and stress. Much easier to get commitment earlier on and have that locked away. So being able to regularly publish case studies where you can talk about how you helped bring a project to life successfully. Again, great for long form content, SEO, and for your channels like EBOSS to be able to publish. Okay, so that's all about getting grads to get engaged with you. Secondly, I want to talk about our presentations, specifically around how we can get engagement without providing muffins and sausage rolls, which is difficult to do in today's age because if a practice is open, they'll have limited staff there, and we're often having to deal with people remotely as well as a small team in practice. So we need to think about who we're actually delivering to. They're in fragmented teams. Many of them will be working in isolation at home, staring at screens like most of us are, under pressure. And as always, with any online presentations, we've got, research tells us 60 seconds for someone to judge whether or not what we're going to deliver is of any value. So, the pressure is on for us to be able to deliver. Let's just think about, again, the area of focus. We're trying to get people to develop trust and confidence in what we're doing, to think about us for a project. So I'm thinking, is there an area, because many of us have delivered many, many long form presentations, CPD, typically an hour, could be 30 minutes, but is there an opportunity to create a step beforehand to build to that point? Simon Sinek, Start With Why, started with a 15-minute presentation. And I got introduced to Simon through something that was bite-sized, meaty, really focused. So I'm thinking, what opportunities do we have to be able to develop a similar stepping stone? Because from here, many of us bought his book, subscribed to his YouTube channel, digested a lot more content over the last few years. And this was 14 years ago. I'd like you to consider a bite-sized deeper dive into providing a technical presentation offer for specifiers. We think 10 minutes, could be 15, so a low level of commitment, very specific, interesting topic, fundamentally demonstrates how you're involved in terms of your experience and the design offering that you're able to give, and provide that as an entree to something that you can provide that's in much more detail at any other point in the future. I'd like us to think about moving away from an update on our product range or a part of the building code and get into some really some thinking that grabs people's emotion, pulls people in. Because often what happens in a big practice is you will have the receptionist or a central coordinator will send out an invite to the wider team. If they don't know you, how can we use the title to grab their attention? Because they're busy people. So here are some titles that I came up with. And this follows the thinking around what are some shocking truths or some interesting insights that haven't been commonly shared. So look, we're not trying to get too clickbaity here, but still, we want to be able to stand out. If something that's memorable, that gets people to think, wow, that's of interest, I'll delve a little bit deeper. So here's one. 2 most common RFIs from councils relating to waterproofing. Why do 40% of Auckland townhouses fail acoustic testing? How about meeting new H1 guidelines with 90mm framing? We're trying to develop some interest and intrigue that gets people to think, wow, that's of interest, I'll look a little bit deeper. A takeaway, just think about how you're actually positioning your title. That could be your longer form ones as well. How we can actually develop some more interest by a little bit of time and attention into these. Once we've got our titles in mind, again, our presentation structure, Last year, when we were facilitating longer form presentations, on average, it took between 3 to 5 minutes for a presenter to introduce themselves and provide a background to their company and product offering. We need to hook people in quickly. So please don't get caught up with a big intro. Most of that information they'll never recall. I think it's great to be able to personalize your presentations, but do it briefly. The practices we've been talking to, number one area of support for online learning is compliance. So anything we can do that references smoother compliance process, put that in big lights in front of everyone. Secondly, around how we can actually help design be done to a higher standard in a quicker time frame. I think it's always great for us to be able to use project examples. It's social proof, and we've got visual rather than text-led audience. So keep those visual images going, because 90% of recall is visually based rather than text-based. Finally, we need to be thinking about how we facilitate the next step. Because presentations are great for demonstrating knowledge, hopefully creating some education, some takeaways, but we need to be thinking about what we leave people with. Which comes to my third point here, which is around how we get the second date. Carl had a feeling there probably wasn't going to be a second date. Why? Because the first one wasn't a great experience. So we need to be thinking about how we can actually enable, the right sentiment and, appearance to think about facilitating date number 2. Majority of presentations that I see end with well, hey, if you need anything, give me a call. I'm here. Here are my contact details, my phone number. Here's my email address. We need to think about making it easy. It's just a simple next step to saying yes. So what are they saying yes to? So again, I've just got some quick insights I just wanted to share with you. How can we create a low-level commitment to a follow-up? So this is from whatever interaction we've had. And so happy to receive some more examples or ideas here. Hope you enjoyed that. I can send you a technical example or article that goes into this topic in much more detail. We've got 5 other education sessions that we run. I can send you through a list, or here they are. Are there any of these that would be of interest for you in the future? We've got a design guide. I can actually courier out a copy to you, or I can email one to you after the presentation. Or we've got a series of easy to read technical articles on the following topics. Would you like me to subscribe you or anyone in your team to receiving that? Again, I'm trying to enable some next steps that it's easy for someone to say yes to, that keeps you in contact, that again helps build that level of trust. I've got a passion and a big focus around our ability to assist with technical performance. So anything in that area I think is of real value. So I hope those 3 insights were thought-provoking, and again give you something to question and probably test what you're doing in the market at the moment. How can we help? A couple of things I did want to mention. First thing is we are about to launch a directory of technical presentations. So an architect, designer, or graduate can come on to a register and they can actually search what technical presentations exist by application. So medium density, apartment design, school design. They could search by category. So it could be warm roofs. It could be external insulation or intertenancy walls. Or it could be by brand. So let's say that they were to search by education. Here they would we'd see a list of results that would be returned by that application, which would identify the brands that have got presentations, the title of that presentation, and how long it goes for, if there's CPD, ADNZ, or LBP points that have been attributed to it. So it'll actually give them one place to be able to go to whenever they're looking for further information in a particular topic. When we launch this, you'll be able to actually go in and load all of your presentations into this directory and be able to assign the different categories and applications to those. So we're hopeful that this will actually help you be able to market what presentations you can offer, and it will stimulate some inquiries for you to be able to do that to any particular practice or maybe a PSG group. So to think about that journey, if they'd selected a particular presentation, we'll then take them through to a page that will actually exist within your specifier guide on EBOSS, which will have a summary of the learning outcomes and also have a direct link for them to be able to arrange a presentation, whether that's online or in person. Now, from our point of view, we're hopeful that this next phase in terms of COVID, we get through this reasonably quickly, but we still think there's going to be huge areas of opportunity for continued digital education. So we see this as a long-term rather than short-term resource. Okay, secondly, many of you have been involved in our in-practice tech ed with Sandy. We're actually bringing this online. So we actually had a first session this morning with GHD Creative Spaces. Thanks to our great presenters this morning. So Brendan, Storm, and Gina, thank you. So within 30 minutes, we had 3 effectively TED Talks, 8 to 10 minute presentations. I emceed it. We had 15 from GHD on the call, all with technical presentations, which provided these very short, sharp technical insights with an opportunity for a deeper dive in the future. So if you're interested in getting involved in our practice partners through that, contact Sandy for further information. She'll be able to get back to you around opportunities that exist going forward. And finally, many of you have contacted me around how you can upskill presenting digitally. So not only around your own personal skills around how to engage with teams, but a little bit around the techniques and technology, but also around how to build good quality presentations. So we're taking a register of interest for this. Again, Sandy's facilitating that. And we're thinking of developing a 6 to 8 week program. And if you are interested, please let us know, and we will be able to send you out some more details around that in terms of the timing and also pricing. So hopefully some areas of interest to you all. Our next session, which is in a fortnight, I will be releasing our Q1 results. It's actually going to be the very first release of our supply chain report. Look forward to you joining us for that session. Hoping to get someone to join me with that as well. We'll have more details in the pre-event comms. But until then, everyone, have a very productive 2 weeks in influencing specifier support remotely. Love to get any of your feedback as always. And stay safe and stay healthy out there. And again, for those of you who are locked at home, just be kind and enjoy that one-on-one family time. All right, thanks team.